Okay, shall we get going?
Yep, crack on.
Are we on?
Oh, we are. Yeah,
Okay.
we've been on the whole time.
Oh, God. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Overly Honest Dads. This is a new podcast aimed at giving you an honest look at what fatherhood is really like. I'm your host, Matt, and I'm joined today by my two good friends, Magnus
Hi,
and John.
Hello.
How you doing, guys?
All good?
Yeah?
I'm okay.
Just okay.
I'm a father.
Well, yeah, that is what the point of what we're doing here. So, welcome to the podcast. This is our first ever episode, and seeing as this is the first time you're listening to us, we thought we'd just introduce ourselves a little bit, tell you a bit about who we are, our fatherhood situations, and then we'll get on with the podcast. So, who wants to go first in terms of introductions?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. This is Magnus here. I am a father of 4 months. My little one was born on the 21st of January this year. It's been a bit of a roller coaster, to put it lightly. And this podcast will most likely be very cathartic and outlet for all of my demoralisation and depression, should I say. Not depravity. But yeah, hi everyone, and hi other fellow dads and new dads and dads-to-be that are listening to this podcast.
Or indeed mums, because it could be mums listening as well.
It could be, but it's
Yeah.
not going to be a good idea.
I agree. Totally
Well,
agree.
you know, I think we'd like to think that we are going to be inclusive in the way we do things. Although I'm sure we'll probably express some fairly controversial opinions at some point. So, I mean, I'm just to jump in. I'm fairly similar to Magnus. Magnus and I became fathers around the same time. My daughter is about 6.5 months, and yeah, much like Magnus, we're just sort of in the eye of the storm, really, in terms of parenting. It's going really well. It's we got a good baby. I think in terms of the baby lottery, we came out of it quite well.
It's not ugly.
Yeah, well, exactly, isn't it? You know, no one wants to have an ugly baby. But yeah, so. Like Magnus said, this will be an opportunity for us to sort of get things off our chest. Also, you know, I think any dad knows that it's hard to see your friends when you become a parent, and this gives us an excuse to sort of take over the house and get together on a regular basis, have some beers and chill out. So it's gonna serve a lot of purposes, but also hopefully it'll be interesting to listen to as well. Now, John, you're a little bit different from Magnus and I. Explain your situation to us and to our listeners.
Yeah, so I'm Italian. No,
That's
that's not why I'm
not
different.
what we're getting at.
No, I'm a father of 3, and I became a father earlier than you guys, so it's quite fun watching you guys suffer, in a way, in a sense that we all worked together at one point, and yeah, I've got 3 children now, so I've got Christopher, who's 8, Sienna, who's 5, and Liam, who's 3. Very different personalities, very different pregnancies, very different births, very different experience all over, and it's just a hell of a ride. But I think I've seen a lot of it. I think I'm probably gonna at some point head towards the teenage years, which I'm really worried about. But I think what I've learned so far, what I've seen so far, is just amazing. I mean, it's stressful. It ain't easy, but it's pretty amazing. And I think, again, it's a good. Let your hair down, not that I have much, but be able to spend time with my mates and talk about this stuff, it kind of helps, because I think you don't really, guys are men, we don't talk sensitive stuff, but I think everybody goes through this when you have a kid, and mums really talk about it, and I don't think guys do that much, so for me to have an outlet as well, same as Mag and Matt, is a great thing.
Good stuff. Thank you, John and Magnus. So, for the first 3 episodes, we are going to cover some of the big topics in terms of getting pregnant, what pregnancy's like. Obviously, well, we didn't get pregnant ourselves, but our wives /
How it
girlfriends
happened.
did. Yeah. Well, I don't think we need to go into that level of detail. I mean, some things can be left in the bedroom, I think, or the living room, or wherever you want to do it.
Balcony.
And so, yeah, we're going to cover pregnancy for the first episode. Second episode, we're going to talk about giving birth. And for the third episode, we are going to talk about the first, week or 2 after you get the kid home. So we're going to hit upon all these big things. And I think one thing that's definitely been playing on my mind thinking about these subjects is that, for a man, there's only a limited amount you can do. in terms of pregnancy. We can't carry the baby, not unless you carry your wife, and you probably don't want to carry your wife while she's pregnant. That's not safe. And so, and same with birth as well. There's a limited amount you can do, but it's still important to talk about this stuff because, your role as a father or father-to-be is still an important one. And so I think it's worthwhile sort of discussing what our experiences were like, where they were similar, where they were different, and anything amusing that came out.
It's not just about ejaculation, basically.
Well,
it's a bigger part than that.
Thanks, John. Thanks for that really important contribution. so that's
I know my role, man.
Oh God. So let's crack on. We're going to be back in a moment to talk about our experiences of getting our wives pregnant and the resulting pregnancy. Speak to you in a bit.
Detail.
Welcome back to Overly Honest Dads. So now we're going to talk about pregnancy, how we got our other halves pregnant.
There was sex involved.
Yeah, there was, controversially. And we're going to sort of talk about what the experience was like of supporting our partners whilst they were pregnant and all of the fun that entailed. So the first question I'm going to throw out to you guys, how long were you trying for before you got pregnant? We'll go to John first on this.
Well, 2 accidents and the girl was searched for. So,
What do you mean searched for?
Like basically, so long story. So the first, I don't think we were looking. I think she was maybe looking, even though she says she wasn't. And then all of a sudden she was pregnant.
When you say looking, what do you mean by looking?
She was looking to have a kid. We were sort of. I think I wasn't ready. And I think I got ready the moment the news came out. But she was more shocked than I was. I was quite manly about it. I was like, she'd liked the pregnancy test. And I was like, yeah, we can deal with this. And she was like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. And I said, oh, we can deal with this. And the baby's born's a different story. But yeah, that was the experience. So, with the girl, we looked for a girl. Okay. So she bought this weird Victoria Beckham book about the positions to have girls and... Or this Victoria Beckham recommended a book that she used to have a girl.
Okay.
And she read this book, and then there are certain positions and things you do.
Okay, so I need to ask about this. So Magnus and I both have daughters. There are only children so far are daughters. Yeah. So what positions were recommended?
Missionary, obviously.
Okay.
But it's not that. It's having it towards the end of ovulation. Because towards the end of ovulation, the male sperm apparently is the first one that dies off, and female sperm are a little stronger, and they carry on. So I think that was a trick to it. But yeah, so we had a girl, and then the third one was a surprise. They gave me a heart attack because we were both of us weren't expecting a third, and it was just sort of he's beautiful. We call him Liam. Oops. Because that's his middle name. No, we love him. He's amazing. But it was an absolute shock.
That's not going to affect him in adulthood.
No. He won't listen to this. He doesn't care about his dad. It'll be fine. No, when he's a teen, anyway.
Okay, so let's go back to the first child, Christopher. So you say your wife was looking for having kids at this point. So are we talking like putting holes in your condoms? Are we talking about deliberately not taking the pill? Was the deception involved, John?
I don't want to say there was, because if she listens to this, she'll crucify me, but I think there was. No, I think there was she had a whole big plan in her head by when she wanted to have the first kid, when she wanted to have the second kid, and I tell you what, plan fit. And the way we are right now, the age we are right now, it's exactly how she planned it. And she can tell me she didn't plan this shit, but fuck me. We hit every spot, mate.
Yeah, it's the same for me as well. She wanted to get pregnant before she was 30, and she became pregnant when she was 30. So this is following to her plan as well.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I had a completely different one with this. I was the one that was more interested in having a kid than Alex was. It might be surprising to a lot of people, but not people know Alex. But yeah, my wife Alex, she wanted to have kids at some point, but I was sort of approaching my mid-30s, and I was like, I don't want to be an old dad. I've always wanted to be a dad as well. Like, it's always something I wanted to do. And crucially as well, you hear a lot of stories out there about people trying for an awfully long time to get pregnant and struggling to do so, or to not being able to do so at all. Maybe going through rounds of IVF. I'm sure we've all known people who've been through that, and so I kind of wanted to, get cracking, as it were, and it happened really quick. The first time of trying, But your experience was fairly similar in that regard, wasn't it, Magnus?
Absolutely, yeah, it was pretty much the same. However, I don't know if you used ovulation trackers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Alex had an app.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same here. I don't know what it was
We
called.
didn't have apps when we had the kids. Like there was no apps. There was just a stick thing.
Oh
for-
yeah, of course.
yeah.
It was a
Old
long
school.
time ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. Steam engines.
Yeah, before the Industrial Revolution. The app that we had, if I remember correctly, it was the logo for it was a drop, like a blood drop. I just always remember that. Ovulation, of course, I know. And she had timed it perfectly. And I think that I just went in for the kill. It was either the first the first or second attack. And it just worked. I remember when she woke me up and told me that she was pregnant, and I think Matt, we had a night out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the night before, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I came back and I wasn't in the right mind for learning such information. And I remember she beat the pillow just next to me. She's like, Magnus, I'm fucking pregnant. And yeah, it just too much to take in at the time. But yeah, going back to your point, it was after the first or second shot, which is always nice, isn't it?
So I just want to tell you how much of a shock it was for me to have kids. So I'm going to be very open. It's overly honest, dads. I was born with one nut.
What?
That is no lie. And I did not think I could have
That's
kids.
quite a share, John.
Yeah, that is quite a share. But
You're
going
going
to
to have to prove it.
I can take a picture. We post it on the website. I don't know.
I've got hands.
No, but I just didn't think we could have. I honestly did not think I could have kids. Honest to God, did not think I could have kids. I grew up with the idea that it weren't going to happen. And then the first came, and then the second, I thought, oh, we're going to be trying for a little longer. Nope, first time. And then the third came by accident. So the highly dangerous sperm.
So you just have one Super Bowl.
Yeah,
You have one Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Is it kind of like how, if like one of your senses is taken away, like if you're blind, you can hear better. Is this like if you only have one ball, that one ball just becomes super potent and strong?
It's like Daredevil. You've got a Daredevil ball.
I got daredevil nut. Well, after vasectomy, which is something we'll talk about on another episode, that doesn't happen anymore. But yeah, whack that out.
Fair enough. So just to row back slightly, so we talked about getting pregnant, and Magnus, you brought up the pregnancy apps, and that's a really good point, because if you are trying to get pregnant, it comes a point where you're essentially having sex by appointment. And I've known other couples who've maybe tried for a long time, and they're going at it all the time. I had a couple of friends who were living together, and their partners were coming around, and couples were just nipping upstairs to have sex because they were ovulating, then coming downstairs, like nothing's happened. So
Well, they were coming, of course. But,
well, John. So how did you feel about having sex on appointment, Magnus? Because me and you must have had that same experience.
You do make a very good point. However, because I didn't have many appointments, I wasn't able to experience that boring dystopia.
Yeah, but it's still a bit strange when because obviously there's not really passion involved, or if there is passion, you're kind of finding it by accident whilst you're going through the act, and it's a very strange thing. I mean, obviously being able to plan these things out is a positive thing. It allows you flexibility and how you do things. You're not having your pregnancy dropped on you as a surprise, but it's still a strange old thing.
that's just weird. Appointments. Yeah, no, with the whole book thing, I was just like, can we just like did it like we did it the other time? Like, it's just like, just go at it. I'm sure it will happen, type of thing. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. I don't know, the whole book reading stuff, and she was really into it. And now there's apps. I didn't even know about this ovulation app stuff, man. That's mind blowing.
Yeah, but actually you hit upon an important point there, because I've known from other couples that it gets really stressful if you're trying a lot. You're trying again and again, and it goes on for months. I think that the stress people feel as a result of that, and the pressure they feel, makes it less likely that they'll get pregnant. And I've definitely heard stories of people who've been trying for a while, then kind of stopped trying and just kind of chilled out and maybe lived a little less healthily than when they were trying, and then all of a sudden it happens, and I think the psychology of it is kind of an important part. But let's move on. Let's talk. We hit upon it briefly, but let's talk about the moment that you find out that your partner's pregnant. So it's been a while ago for you, John, but can you try and cast your mind back and tell us how you felt? Just the raw emotion, the first thought that popped into your mind when you found out that you were going to be a dad.
I think with Christopher, it happened. It was a shock, but I was sort of, oh, I can handle it. I would, childhood mentality as a guy is like, oh, I can deal with, anything. Oh, it doesn't matter. I didn't quite think about it, but it's great news. It's fine. I didn't quite put enough thought into the amount of life that will go into growing a kid. I mean, I think you guys are older than me. I mean, if you got to think about it, I had Christopher when I was younger than you guys are when you've had your kids, and I think for me it was more of a here at the moment. She's pregnant. Cool. Yeah, we'll deal with it. It's fine. I think the responsibility kicked in with the third. When she was pregnant, I was already a bit older, and I was like, I'm gonna go for a drive. Like literally, that was my reaction. I need to go for a drive. I left the house and drove, and I needed to think because the responsibility hit me. It was 3 kids. It wasn't 2 kids. 3 kids. I mean, you're taking a gamble. Smart ones going to university. I'm not going to be able to afford to send them all. Like that kind of thing. Everything goes through your head, and that level of responsibility, the impact, came the moment she said, "I think I'm pregnant again," and I was like, "Sorry," and it was just all the air kind of gets out of you because you're like, "How am I going to provide?" Do you know what I mean? I think that was the big responsibility. Kind of, already 2 kids. We were just fine in the flat we were in, and all of a sudden it's like 3 kids. Ed automatically got to move house, got to do this, got to do that, and it all starts kicking in, and the responsibility is huge in a way. And I think you guys were in different moments in your lives. When you had the first, you were more organized about it. I think for us it was more of a surprise. I was younger. I didn't really. I was like, oh, this is great. It'd be amazing. And I think the responsibility really hit me more on the third, and the second was so planned that it was on appointment. Like once or twice, and then she got pregnant, and it was sort of one and done type of thing, and we knew we wanted a baby. But yeah, that was the ride, so to say.
Fair enough. Now I remember, I don't think I'll ever forget when it happened for us. Like, so how the first trimester symptoms for a woman involve, like tiredness, nausea and all that sort of stuff. So pretty much as soon as Alex technically got pregnant, before we knew about it, she was displaying those symptoms, and we decided upon the Saturday morning we were going to go out and do the test. But like I really suspected it, and I was like hyper conscious of all of Alex's behaviours around that time. So before we'd actually done the test, and like every time she went for an early night or felt a little bit ill, I was like, she's pregnant, isn't she? And then I went off, bought the test from the local pharmacy, bought it back. She pissed on it, which is which is what happens.
It's the action.
And Alex actually made me go. She left it on the shelf in the bathroom and made me go in first to see it. And I'll never forget that moment when I saw that she was pregnant, because one, I felt really macho for having done it on the first attempt. There are very few times in life where I can feel macho because I'm not a very macho man, but that was one of them. And then you just have this rush of emotion, like it was just every emotion at once, mostly happiness, but like everything coming at you. And Alex was in a state instantly. She was crying and like happy, but just overcome with emotion. But it's such a big moment. And the thing I probably remember enjoying most about that day was telling my mum and my dad, because like obviously me and Alex, when we calmed down, we were very happy. But from that moment of telling them, because we weren't going to tell anyone else, but I think your mum and dad, you tell fairly soon after you get pregnant, especially when it's your first. And just hearing how happy they were was just, one of the best parts of that early process, I suppose.
No, agreed. I'm just listening to you both here, and you're talking about the emotions you went through. It was, and I'm living this. I'm reliving this now. It was a cacophony of emotions.
Good word.
It was really, really difficult to be able to handle it at the time, especially when you're massively hungover. So we had been trying, not for not very long at all. Romana had said that she wanted kids before she was 30. She'd hit 30 last year, and it was go time. We kind of had to do it. So she downloaded the app, and we went for it. It wasn't the most pleasurable thing because the passion is kind of taken out of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you said, when it's on appointment. kind of fun, but you know, it is what it is. So we went for it, and I think on the second attempt, is it the first or second? I really don't remember anymore. She confirmed that she was pregnant, and she did the whole thing where she woke me up, said she was pregnant, told me to go to the bathroom, and the pregnancy test was neatly placed on the mantle, and there it was, pregnant.
So my experience of that was slightly different with Christopher. And there's one thing my wife doesn't remember doing, but she had done the pregnancy test. And she goes, "Oh my God, I'm pregnant," and put the fucking thing so close to my face, where I'm just like, "You just pissed on this." That was literally what I was thinking. I was like, I can't ruin the moment, but she's just pissed on this. Let me just like kind of stand back a bit. And it was just such an awkward thing. And it was just like, "Oh, that's great. Get the fucking thing out of my face."
At the time, you don't think about that, but I did when she had 5 laid up on the mantle, and we had our cleaner coming in, cleaning the bathroom, and there's 5 piss-soaked pregnancy tests, and it becomes acutely apparent that there is piss everywhere. So she did that. She showed me that she was pregnant, and to be honest, guys, it didn't feel real. It was far too surreal for me. You know, I just couldn't get it to sink in at all. So I remember that we went to the, you know, where you get the scan.
Yeah.
We got it done privately, and even after I think 3 months, it still wasn't something which I could get a grasp on. But yeah,
So
that whole time.
When did you be able to get a grasp on it, would you say?
When Quinn was a month old.
Really? It took that long?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I you know, when she was born, I didn't have a connection with her really.
Yeah.
She was just this weird alien creature. And I know this is something really big for dads and fathers. They don't have, some of them don't have that emotional connection. Some do. When the kid pops out, they will feel something instant, just like their mother, just like their partner will, the mother of their child. But a lot of the time, the fathers don't. So
With my daughter, I struggled, actually. Yeah. I didn't have that connection with my daughter. I had it with my son, the first, and I had it with Liam because he was in an incubator, bless him, rough birth. But yeah, with Sienna, I struggled. That connection wasn't quite there initially because it was a girl. Just don't know quite how to hold girls, and it's a girl, and it's so fragile.
Well, you don't hold girls any differently than
I
you
know,
hold a
but
boy. Like they might have different bits, but,
Yeah, no, but-
that doesn't really change how you hold them.
I
Like you're
know.
not grabbing your boy by his balls, are you?
No,
I mean,
no, but it's just a different
how would you grab a girl
experience.
by her? No, carry on.
The fuck is wrong with you guys?
right. Anyway, let's bring this back. So, Magnus, you actually raised an interesting thing that you're talking about the scan. So, obviously, you get pregnant. Well, we don't. Our partners do get pregnant, and then there's a wait. So you know you're pregnant, but there's going to be a gap of quite a few weeks until you kind of confirm everything. So the pregnancy test is positive, but I think what's the stat? Is it like a third of pregnancies don't progress to full term?
So, something along those lines. Yeah.
So you've got a lot of risk in those opening sort of 12 weeks, and so although you're obviously very excited by the news, you can't take anything for granted at that point. And then you have the scan where hopefully you confirm everything's okay. So John, do you remember Christopher's first scan? Were you there?
Yep. Yeah, I was there.
And how was it?
It was amazing. It was at first I thought it was going to be like the Friends episode where it was like, I can't see it. I thought it was going to be that, and I was like, I could see him clearly. And even though it was umbilical cord, I was like, oh, look at his big dick. And
How
and
many
we
weeks?
didn't know it was a boy. No, we didn't know it was a boy because you don't know that early. But it was just...
How many weeks did you get the scan done?
Oh, God, dude, 8 years ago, mate. I
Yeah.
can't remember.
No,
I love him,
It was
but...
probably 12 weeks.
Probably,
Yeah, I'd
yeah.
imagine. But you couldn't tell the sex yet.
Okay.
You could tell the sex, I think, in the second or the third one. But
Yeah.
it was amazing because I thought I wouldn't be able to tell, and then I could just clearly see a baby. And it was just sort of like, wow, that's me. That's pretty
Bringing back
amazing.
memories here, dude. Oh my word. Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't do the 3D one though. So the 3D one had just come out, and you'd only get it on private. So we were doing it for the NHS. They didn't really do 3D, and it was just sort of like 2D beep 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 beep, beep Super Mario version. But it was cool, man. I loved it. It was amazing.
ASCII baby.
yeah.
I do remember the scan very, very well. The first 12-week scan. It is the one before you find the gender. So a month
Yeah.
before. We got it done privately, and that's when it started to become real. I remember looking at the screen and seeing this form, a human form, in front of me, and I was very surprised you could even distinguish a human fetus at that point. I thought it took a little bit longer, but it doesn't. And I remember having this overwhelming sense of, and I can only describe it as such, imposition. This creature coming into my life and taking it over. And I know it's very, very early on to feel that way, but that's how I felt.
So you thought your daughter was an invasive species, essentially like
Absolutely.
Japanese knotweed or something.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Like decrease the value of your property,
Of my
damage
woman.
the foundations.
I know it's harsh to say, but that is how I felt. And
Well, this is all about being honest. So this is the idea of this. So be as honest as you want to be.
we had been planning for some time. We'd gotten into this into a stage of our careers where we were comfortable financially. We were settled. We've been around the world. We've done everything that we needed to do. The only piece of the jigsaw puzzle that we needed left was a child. And it was more so Romana that wanted a kid. I was just going with the flow. Sorry, Romana. And to be honest, I don't think I was ready for it. I don't think I ever
No guy
would have
is
been
ready
ready
for
for
it.
it. Ever, right?
I think I was.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
I really wanted it.
Okay.
I knew it was what I wanted to do. And it's like I said to you earlier, like Alex wanted kids, but I think she would have been happy to wait a couple of years. But for me, it was something that I thought we should get started with. And thankfully now Alex is very, happy with everything. It was never under duress. Like she was never not doing it reluctantly or anything. But yeah, no, I definitely felt ready for something more at that point in life. Like got bored to a little bit of all the going out and drinking. Not that that's, not fun, but I was ready for another level of responsibility, I suppose.
You are the first person from my friends group that I know who said, male, who said that they were ready for children. That's very impressive.
I will say that for listeners out there, Matthew does have 2 degrees. He is very smart and he does know it all, so he's ready for life in general.
I wouldn't say that
No,
that is...
no. What I will tell you is that I wish I had the patience and the poise that Matt has, because that is one thing the man has. And when he says he's ready, it's because he's been thinking about it for about 10 years before. He's like, yeah, I was ready.
Yeah, well, that's definitely true. I've been thinking about
I think
it for a long time.
most of us guys are like, oh, okay, oh shit, you're pregnant. I think that's sort of normally what happens.
Yeah, I think everyone's got a different path to take, don't they, to this stuff. And it was definitely getting to a point with me where a lot of my friends had kids. You already had kids. You weren't far behind us. Mm-hmm. And now I think every one of my good friends that's straight and male is a dad. Like there's really no one left anymore. So there you go. But yeah, I'll talk a bit about what the scan experience was like for me, because there's one thing that really sticks out. So you guys know when you have a kid and the kid pops out, their personality kind of comes across pretty quickly, doesn't it? Like even if they're a newborn baby, you get aspects of their personality just from how they are. Now I reckon I saw that from the very first scan, because Amelie was just almost jumping up and down in the womb as soon as we could see the images of the scan. She just like jumping up and down and was all manic. And the 2 scans that we had, the what they called, the people that do the scan, ultrasound sonographer. Thank you, Magnus. So the sonographer commented about how crazy Amelie was behaving inside the womb. She was just going sick, and the nice thing is, like, she's now that she's popped out and is around 6 months old, that you can see that in her. She's always active. She's always she's quite a happy baby, a smiley baby. She smiles at everyone. She's kind of a bit restless, I suppose, and that's how she came across in the womb as well. And I think it was just really nice seeing almost like a bit of a personality when she was just a tiny alien blob that was living inside my wife's belly. Strange
Alien
stuff.
blob. That's amazing.
Well, they are, aren't they? They look bloody weird.
They do.
They do. So let's talk about how the pregnancy progresses. Actually, specifically how your roles changed. So we were all with our partners for a while before getting pregnant. So how long were you with Elisa for, John, before she got pregnant?
Well, it wasn't a while, man. Because we got together, we broke up. I went through a rough period in my life. We got back together, got married in 3 months, and about 6 months later, she got pregnant. So it all
So that
happened
was quite quick.
Yeah, that was quite quick. It all just happened really quickly.
But were you already in like a bit of a routine in terms
yeah,
of your,
definitely.
Yeah. So I'm kind of interested in how these routines change, like, because I'm guessing that you both took on more responsibility around the house,
Yeah.
that you tried to make things easier. So what did that look like for you?
I was already very domesticated. I ironed and cleaned and whatnot before. I mean, to be honest, she couldn't cook before she had kids. It was always me cooking, so I didn't really take a lot more responsibility.
So you're already doing that stuff.
I was already doing that stuff, but I think the aspect was the emotional aspect, the occasional weird tears that would come out of her. Like we were having a cornetto. I gave her the end of the cornetto. She looked at me, she grabbed the end of the cornetto, goes, "This is real love," and burst into tears. I'm like, oh shit, what do I do here? Like,
Christ.
why is she crying? That was the hormones everywhere, and every pregnancy she was like that. That was the managing the tears was the biggest thing. It was like, I'm going to give her a pen, she'll fucking cry for 2 days. Like, Jesus.
Just to confirm, this wasn't the chocolate bit at the end of the
Yes, the
cornetto.
chocolate bit at the end of the cornetto. She burst into tears.
last
This is
inch.
real love. I'm like, this it.
That is quite a sweet gesture though, because the chocolate bit at the end, that's a highlight for me in a cornetto scenario.
Yeah,
she
but you're
ain't
not going to
getting
cry
that.
about it, are you?
Yeah, Magnus, you would not share that bit of chocolate.
Oh no.
Would you? No, Magnus has a sweet tooth. Yeah. So Magnus, how did your situation change?
Yeah, it just went to shit. Just
Overly honest,
absolutely-
Dad.
Yeah, it just It just absolutely, utterly went to shit. So I took on as much responsibility as I could, and Romy breastfed and just stayed at the front of the house with the baby.
Oh,
there.
well, I'm talking about like during pregnancy.
Oh,
'Cause we're
during
talking
pregnancy.
about during pregnancy.
Oh, yeah, it went to shit.
That's convenient.
Yeah. So, Romy was a really good pregnant woman. Can I say that?
Yeah, of course you can.
She was pretty good. So yeah, she got.
So was my wife.
Yeah, same as your wife. She was pretty good during morning sickness and all that kind of thing. It didn't really affect her as much, and when it did, she was a bit of a trooper.
Did you get involved with the throwing up part, cleaning up, or any of that? Did you?
She didn't puke.
No.
No, same with Alex. She wasn't sick at any point. She was nauseous,
You lucky
and we
twats.
couldn't walk down the fish aisle in the supermarket because we'd have to go straight home if she smelt fish. But yeah, aside from that, like the nausea, then she was fine. No vomits at all.
So can I ask, did your partners have cravings and things that they
Yep.
couldn't taste and smell? Because
Yep.
I don't think we had that.
Yeah, she had all of that.
It was
So-
just fish really for Alex. I think I cooked cod for dinner one night, and that set her right off. And then like I was banned from eating tuna. Couldn't walk down the fish aisle in the supermarket or past the fishmongers on Essex Road where we were living.
I'm just drying my haddock on the radiator.
She ever pisses you off, you know what to do.
Yeah,
Jesus.
yeah. Just put a kipper underneath a pillow. No, that'd have been very mean.
man.
Yeah.
But yeah, the routine it just was a bit chaotic. We started to accumulate things in the house, baby stuff as you do. The house started
Yeah.
to become somewhat unnavigable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Warehouse.
difficult, and then that starts to mess with your mind. So Romy, she started to become immobile towards the final trimester as well. Anything below knee height just wasn't really working. So I took on as much responsibility as I could. I was doing a lot of driving, a lot of nighttime driving, getting random things that she needed here and there. When she would feel peckish, I would just run and do
Yeah,
it.
same.
I would say that she did continue to cook. She's a far better cook and more efficient cook.
Did you offer to cook, Magnus, or did you just not offer and hope that she would keep on cooking?
No comment.
Jesus.
Well, I will admit to you, I can cook. And the way I cook
Just don't
is
fucking want to.
it's it's a telephone number to Domino's. Is how I cook.
Damn. Nah, like she had the cravings, she had the throwing up. I was holding the hair and everything, man. Like the whole 9 yards. Like she hasn't eaten Chinese since the first pregnancy. She
Really?
had Chinese during the pregnancy. She was like, I'm not sure if I like the smell of it. She had 2 bites and then just like bleh, vommed on the way out of her cousin's house, and then hasn't eaten Chinese since. Has not touched it.
Wow.
Yeah, just there's some things that used to set her off like that, and then but then there was just like the random cravings. I want chicken kebab. It's like, darling, it's like, I know chicken. Okay, I'll go get chicken kebab. Like, you just go and do what you're told because otherwise you get stabbed. Did you ever mock your wife when she was pregnant?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah,
loved it.
How can you
Every
not?
guy does it.
Especially when she was super huge and
Yeah.
couldn't move around and
Fucking dinosaur.
yeah, I mean, as long as you don't do it in a cruel way, I mean, because you need to keep a sense of humour about you in those situations, like male and female, because if you take it all too seriously and you forget to laugh at yourself, then it can be really awful and stressful.
I've got a question for you guys. Did you find your partners attractive when they were huge?
Tits are massive.
Yes.
Babylon.
but-
Yes, aside from Babylons, but I mean the glow, which everyone says
Yeah,
that they have,
the glow
and
is
just
good.
just the way they hold themselves as a pregnant woman,
The
because
glow
they don't
is
do it very often.
Yeah, the glow is good. What I found strange is, that women have hormones that come out of the top of their head, and that's, something that it smells really nice, when you smell a woman's hair, when you see your wife, and very all nice and good. That smell goes away at first. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but for the first trimester, that smell completely goes away because the hormones that are causing the lovely smell to come out of the top of your wife's head, they're being used elsewhere to set the body up for pregnancy.
I don't
And
sniff my wife enough, man. That's just...
Yeah,
Oh, do you
I didn't notice
Do you not
that.
have it when you lie on the sofa or something and they're cuddled into you and their head is sort of below your head, and so you can't get the top of their head in? Am I talking complete gibberish?
I
here?
don't sit on top of my wife going,
Yeah,
oh,
I
you smell
don't
good today.
remember that, Matt.
Like,
Yeah.
none of that happens, I'm afraid, mate. That's just, that's your...
We lie on the sofa and have cuddles whilst we watch TV. Is that?
Yeah,
but
no,
sniffing
no.
your wife, that's...
I'm not sniffing. It's just her head is in my face, and so it's
I can
unavoidable.
Yeah, I can understand where you're coming from. Like the
The
smell would be
shampoo,
noticeable.
yeah, but...
Yeah.
I don't know about the hormone.
The natural smell. I don't know about you, but Romana says I've got a nice natural smell around the neck area. I've had that before from other women
Okay.
as well.
I've never smelled your neck.
You can. We can do it.
But you're not a woman.
So
Yeah.
maybe it's the same thing that you had. I didn't smell anything
Yeah.
from her.
Nah, it's strange, but I mean, I think the glow is a definite thing when pregnant women.
Yeah.
It's a definite thing, but I mean, for me, there's a pregnancy fetish out there that
Of course.
certain men get.
Pregnancy, lactation, childbirth. No.
Yeah.
I made that one up.
The childbirth one, yes.
Yeah, nobody...
But like, I definitely can't empathise with that. Like, I can't empathise with people who find pregnant women sexy. That's not something that's
Yeah,
on my personal radar at
Nope.
all.
Cool. We all agree upon that. Okay,
Yeah.
fine. So look, I'll be candid with you. Before Romana became pregnant, before she started to fit into her pregnant body, I did not find pregnant women aesthetically pleasing. And that was not something that I went out of my way to feel. It was just, okay, she's pregnant. I don't know many people that agree with me on that, but I didn't really find it that pleasant, to put it kindly, which is probably very controversial to say. However, once Romana became pregnant and she filled out her pregnant body, I thought she looked absolutely fantastic. And now when I see a pregnant woman, I think they look great. I think they genuinely look so goddamn beautiful. So I don't understand the reason why I felt that way before, but now it's fixed itself, and I think she looked really, really good, and so do other pregnant women.
Yeah, well, it's an amazing thing they go through, and for just the fact that their bodies adapt and change the way they do, it is just an amazing thing to witness. You watch a woman's body and her mind also, to an extent, change significantly, and they do things that are so impressive. Like, I can't empathise with it because I've never been through it myself, but having been there next to Alex as she went through it all, you just can't. I think if you don't come out of it with a tremendous admiration for the strength of women, then you've missed the point somewhere along the line. I don't know what you guys think about that, but certainly that's what
Completely
I
agree.
came out with.
Agreed.
Completely agree.
It's amazing. To be honest, there's one aspect that you just raised, the way the human body changes. So listeners out there, both me and my wife have MS. It's a neurological disease, but Basically, when a woman that has MS gets pregnant, the MS shuts off. The body, because she's pregnant, the body would automatically shut off the MS. All symptoms go away, all goes back to normal for the pregnancy. Right after the pregnancy, real danger that you might have another MS fit, so to say. But it's just amazing that the human body, a woman's body, would just go pregnant, auto correct everything. You're going to be fine. Everything is going to be protected. Baby's protected. Mum's protected. That was amazing. When we found it out, I'm just like, how? And it's just like, oh, we don't know. That's what happens when a woman gets pregnant. The way the body changes, the way the body adapts, it's amazing to watch in that sense. It's really cool.
That is really bloody amazing. Actually, that would also piss me off to think that the body will shut off MS,
Yeah.
and then let it come back afterwards. Fucking body doing that. But for the fathers out, or should I say fathers to be out there, when you go to the courses, if you're going to do that, when you read up about pregnancy, the changes that will happen to your partner and what you will witness, it genuinely is a shade short of magic. It's insane. The way their body changes, the way they handle it, just in a stride, they all seem to. It really is a beautiful thing, and you probably will see something else in your partner, something new, because I'm sure that we all did as well. It's just a beautiful thing. It really is an absolutely beautiful thing.
It is indeed. And, well, I think every woman has a different experience. I mean, I've known some people who have difficult pregnancies, and it'd be, if we didn't acknowledge that, it'd be a shame, because I know one friend of a friend who had really bad hips during their pregnancy, and so they'd struggle just to sit down. And, pregnant women, especially in the third trimester, want to sit down. I imagine if sitting down puts you in pain, and not all bodies can adapt to pregnancy as well as the others. So, I mean, I think we have to acknowledge that we've all been quite lucky in our experiences so far.
I agree.
There are a lot of people out there who aren't quite as fortunate in terms of their own experiences. So I think the last thing I want to touch on before we wrap up this episode is the third trimester, because I mean the way that it usually goes, isn't it? The first trimester, you have the morning sickness, tiredness. The second trimester is the pregnancy honeymoon, so the first trimester symptoms go away, but they're not yet as heavy as they will be later on. And then third trimester hits, and it's just tough.
Yep.
So who wants to go first on third trimester, John?
Yeah, I'll go first. I mean, there's a few things to be aware. It's the mood swings. I don't know if you guys witnessed that. That was a bit weird. The other thing about the body changing when it gets to the third trimester, there is one aspect that we were giggling about earlier, but the bush comes alive because they can't shave, and it becomes difficult to shave their legs and other parts of their body.
That's not where I thought you were going with that. But I mean, if that's important to you.
Well, it was a bit surprising. She's very anti-hair, and all of a sudden it was like, you have a bush now. That's interesting. But obviously overly pregnant. There's things that they can't do. I mean, there's stuff like that, boys. Be prepared out there. If you're waiting for a kid, things are going to happen in the third trimester you're not ready for. And then, to be honest, not being able to move. I mean, my wife is teeny tiny. She's very short, and God knows how she's given birth to 3 kids, but teeny tiny, overly pregnant, big babies as well. I don't know how the hell she'd done that, but it's, third trimester was literally spoon feeding her enough. She really struggled. At one point it was pretty difficult. It's quite nice because her family came over from Italy and they helped out, but it was difficult. I think one thing that the 3 of us can relate to is the fact that all of us live in a big city. None of our families are that close to us from a location point of view. True. And it's literally a teamwork, you and her, and you have to deal with shit because there's no family around. And I think that is a huge aspect in the third trimester. Just like, I need help, somebody help me. Yeah, and having family visit was a blessing at times.
Yeah, we didn't have any help either. Our parents are either on the other side of London or in another country. So we very much were on our own with things. However, we didn't have too bad a third trimester, if I remember correctly. She was okay. She didn't. There was no savagery. She didn't feel sick or was too immobile with anything. Though, yeah, like I said before, anything below knee height, she could bend down for it. it was actually okay, kind of anticlimactic. It was more so that she was getting a bit fed up with being pregnant towards the end, and she just wanted the kid out. Quinn was really active in the room. She was really bloody active. So I remember when we were in bed, and I'd be hugging Romana, like spanning my arm across a continent of flesh to cup her, and Quinn would be kicking. She would feel me on her back, so I would rub where her back would be, and she would push out, and she always did that. Always did it.
That's really cool.
Always
That's
remember
cute.
that.
But did Romana struggle to sleep at all? Because I know with Alex, like obviously she couldn't sleep on her stomach because obviously that would be harmful for the baby, and so she had to sleep on her side. But then Amelie, when she was in the womb, would protest if she didn't like the position that Alex was in, and so Alex would get comfortable, and then baby would kick up a storm, and so Alex would have to move, and then she'd be irritated and woken up, and it was not good.
Yeah, I agree. We had the same kind of thing. I think I'm forgetting all this stuff now because everything else has happened since.
Yep.
So Romana, she also wasn't able to be on her back, on her side for the entirety of the night because Quinn would kick up a fuss as well. She had all kinds of pillow contraptions.
Oh yeah, pregnancy pillow. I forgot
Pregnancy
about that.
pillows.
Oh,
my
yeah.
God.
Big long pillows.
They're amazing, by the way, to sleep in. I love those babies.
Yeah, well,
She
the
still
ones that
has
fit
it
between
occasionally.
your legs that go all the way around you, like the
Yep.
giant turds. Yeah. We had so many.
What kind of poos do you do?
How big is your arsehole, mate?
9-month turds. So no. I love you, Quinn. So she had bought like a shitload of pillows, different types, ones that go between the legs, ones that go all the way around you like a tube, and it was just uncomfortable on our medium-sized mattress. Yeah, we got a medium-sized mattress because we rent, and that was taking up 2/3 of the bed, and she'd be waking up constantly. She'd have to go for a piss like every hour or something.
Yeah, the pissing.
The
Jesus.
pissing.
Oh.
It's really bad.
Urine has never been such a pain in the ass as it is during pregnancy. Fucking hell. When you travel, you gotta plan for piss. You really have to.
Well, I mean, that's kind of like having a kid though, because like with kids, they piss a lot.
Nappies.
Well, yeah, but you have to deal with it in a lot more of an immediate sense. Now, when Alex was pregnant, she always made it to the toilet, thankfully. But when you have a kid, the piss can come at any time, especially when you're changing the baby. Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves there because we'll talk about all the joys of having babies in a later episode. But I think this is a good place to wrap up this particular episode of Overly Honest Dads, the first ever episode of Overly Honest Dads. So yeah, I mean, we're gonna keep on doing these. I think we're gonna try and launch with 3 podcasts, we said. So this being the one about pregnancy. Next time around, we're gonna talk about being a dad or being the man that's sort of standing there helplessly as his wife or partner is giving birth. So we'll talk about all of that. So all that remains to do is thank you guys for listening. Thanks for trying out our podcast. We really do appreciate it, and we'll try and get better as we go. We've opened up an email address, overlyhonestdads@gmail.com. That's overlyhonestdads@gmail.com. If you have any feedback for us or any questions, feel free to write in. If you're looking for any advice from us knuckleheads, let us know. Or if you have an idea for something that we can cover, or if you just want to tell us we're idiots and you hate us, then feel free to do that as well. We welcome all feedback. So I want to say a huge thanks to Magnus.
Hello, and thank you.
As you can tell, we need to do a bit of work on this. Thank you to John.
Good night.
And thank you, the listeners. Thanks for joining us, and we'll speak to you again soon. Goodbye.